How's it going, everybody? It's Charlie. Welcome back to the Chatting Leeds YouTube channel. I wish that I think we'd be in better spirits than what we probably are. As you can see, I've got a friend with me on this stream. We've got Owen from All Leeds Crest, and we're gonna try and dissect that. I think for a neutral, it was a thrilling game, but not for us Leeds United fans, I assume. But before we get into it, make sure you're liking, make sure you're commenting, make sure you're subscribing. As I've said on the last few uploads, Owen's on the White Wall podcast with myself. Go and check that out as well. Check him out on TikTok at All Leeds Crest as well. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Owen, talk to me. How are we?
Do you know what? I've still not got over it, and the game finished about an hour and a half ago. I don't think I'll ever get over it. I think I've got to a stage now where the season is exactly the same as what it was last season, especially against Cardiff. Exactly the same minutes we equalised, exactly the same minutes we scored. The only difference is rather than having two shots, two conceded, it were 4 shots, two conceded. Charlie, it's the same barrel of fish this season, really, isn't it, so far?
Yeah, and just before we go any further as well, we've not made any notes. We're just going to absolutely raw dog this. We'll go
Just
on
raw
mad
emotion.
tangents. Yeah, just raw emotion. It's all raw still, isn't it? Like you say, the game finished a few hours ago, and I don't think I've quite come down to earth on it yet. I don't think, but I don't know where to start really. To be honest with you, it was quite mad. Obviously, I was at the game. The atmosphere was good.
Shit.
It did it did kind of look like a Sweden game with all the yellow shirts about. I can't lie. But when I saw the lineup, I was quite happy. It was as expected. It was the same 11 that started against Valencia. I think I said on the white wall the other night, Owen, that I felt it would be like that. I didn't think he'd change much for this game. What were your thoughts going into it when you saw the
I
lineup?
was thoroughly excited. Obviously, the five pre-season games that we've played, and we've absolutely battered teams. We've looked really well. We've looked very strong going forward. That press that in the pre-season games looked phenomenal. And then I saw the lineup today, and I thought, beautiful. We've done everything on paper. We know exactly how to play football. We know exactly how to generate a shot on target. I'm gonna go on to shots on target later on, Charlie, because my mind is still blown, mate.
Yeah.
But you think shots on target equals goals, and goals equal winning the games. I thought, Pompey did really well in League One last season. Obviously finished top of the table, but you think Leeds United, Fortress, Ellen Road, 30 thousand fans behind them. You thought they'd be really up for his first game of the season, and then I looked at the game and I went, "What on earth is this?" But
Yeah, it's one of them ones, isn't it? I think when I saw both lineups, I'll openly admit, I'm quite ignorant towards the rest of the championship. And when I saw the Portsmouth team, I tried to see if there was anyone in there who I knew of, anyone who I was a bit wary of. And I just said to my uncle who I was with, I just said, I don't know any name there. I said, and I didn't know what to expect from them. They're a bit of an unknown entity to me. Obviously, I didn't watch a lot of League One football last year. I think we can both say that. I knew that they'd come with the tails up. I thought, they'll be thinking there's nothing for them to lose. They can come and just play their game and hope to get something, which they have, obviously. But I still didn't think that the game would go like that. I really didn't. I had it down for 3-1.
exactly what I had down as well at 3-1.
Yeah, and I mean the first sort of 10 minutes, I think we hit the bar like 3 times in the first 6 minutes, but no goals. Yeah, 3 times. I thought he was going for no goals then.
No,
But yeah,
three times.
Yeah, 3 times, and we didn't score, but it was still encouraging. I thought Leeds were on top. We were playing well.
Can I just mention, Charlie? Sorry to interrupt you. Can I just mention one of the shots on target which hit the bar? Junior Firpo, open goal. How on earth did he header it that way, not that way? I don't get it.
It was right in front of me as well, and even I couldn't believe what had happened. But I think Ampadu hit the post from a corner. I think Did Georgia hit the post as well?
Nanto hit the post.
Yeah, there was a few, and but I still felt Leeds were on top. And then when the penalty happened, and obviously the big sexy pirate slots that home,
Pascal Strike, what a boy!
I really thought from that point that we'd go on, and it'd just be that key that unlock the key, bang, and it kind of did for a little bit after the penalty, but then I felt when they equalised, we kind of went in ourselves a little bit again. And it was just certain patterns from the end of last season that I just didn't think any of us expected to see. Don't know what your thoughts on that are.
It's just certain evaluations, though, isn't it, Charlie? I mean, you look at Leeds and you think if we score first, more or less, 85% of the time, Leeds are going to go out and win that game comfortably, quite happily. Yes, it's scrappy. Yes, it'll be quite contagion. But you'd think Leeds United scored first, boom, easy, won the game. Now it's like, especially last season, we'd go 1-0 up and then we'd sit and defend for like 85 minutes. And I hate that. And we did that last season. I thought, right, that's going to be definitely whitewashed. And then we did the same thing today where we went 1-0 up and we thought we'd try and defend it. And I'm thinking, no, just go at them, press them.
Yeah.
And obviously it proved it. Sorensen in the 23rd minute scored a very, goal that should never have happened. There was Bogle out of position. Rodon was out of position. Meslier had Poppadom hands. Front post as well.
You have just mentioned two players there that I want to get into more specifically shortly, but we'll just see what we have got. A comment from Julie. They never make it easy, do they? You'd be a Leeds fan. You think you'd be used to it? Yeah, exactly. I think all us Leeds fans are kind of just immune to it now, Julie. If I'm being honest with you, but I have to get into it because it's on my mind. You've just mentioned him there, Jayden Bogle. I have to be careful how I say this because it's one game. And obviously, I didn't go to the Valencia game last week. I know you did. And you did say on the white wall the other night that he was a bit iffy. And I'll be honest, first few minutes I was thinking, no, he's good here. Like he was bombing forward, he was putting balls in, he was getting involved. But that's where it ends for me. I think defensively, I don't think he won one header.
You'd find, Charlie, sorry to interrupt you, mate, that you'd find as well with Jayden Bogle that at Sheffield United, I've got quite a few mates who are Sheffield United fans, and they all said the same thing, that he's very, very, very good at going forward in an attacking threat. But defensively, he's, excuse my French, but he's dog shit. I looked at the game, and I think there was one moment in the game where DJ was further back than what Bogle was, and I looked at it and I'm thinking, why are you there? You should be upfield. And don't get me wrong, it's a different style of formation, different team completely. You've got to give him time. He's only played 3 games for Leeds.
Yeah, of course.
If we're playing a formation which you're supposed to have 3 at the back, then stick to it. Do you know what I mean? This 4-2-3-1 seems to be stuck in Daniel Farke's head at all times, and it always seems to be the same flat back line at all times. And if you're going to go forward as a wing back, plays like a formation with a wing back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good point you make about the sort of 3 at the back there, because I feel like when we did see it in pre-season, it worked, or at least it looked like there was more of a plan there, more of a structure in place, I felt. And like you say, I think Bogle's probably used to playing as a wing back rather than actually a right back in a back 4. And it was really evident today how there was a point where, albeit the context needs to be applied, I think there'd been a set piece and Firpo found himself on the right and Bogle was out left, but you could just tell that he didn't know like how far to go forward so that he had room to get back. And like you say, I think I remember what you're talking about there about Dan James, because I even said to the bloke next to me, I said, how is Dan James the furthest back on the right hand side when he is meant to be right wing? Like, where's Bogle?
So I'm just looking at his statistics right now. So he's had 4 clearances, no block shots, no interceptions, a total tackles of 3. He's been dribbled past once, and he's penalty committed once.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're fine. So yeah, Jayden
Bogle
Bogle.
got some technical difficulties.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here. I can still hear you. So yeah, I don't know if you heard me. Are we fine?
Are we good? Are we good? Are we good now?
We're all right now. We're all good. Are we good?
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
good.
I think we're good now.
Slight technical issues. Bear with us, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but it seems to be all over the shop. But as I was saying, Jayden Bogle, he had 4 clearances, no block shots, no interceptions, 3 total tackles, 1 dribble pass, and 1 penalty committed.
I think you froze again on my end, Owen.
You froze on my end.
Have you got some other tabs open on your PC, mate?
No, nothing.
Are we here?
All right now. Are we
good?
Are we sound?
I think we're sound now.
We're all right now. Cool.
Do apologise for that, guys. We're used to this.
Nothing.
We are used to this, us two. We are used to this.
This is technical difficulties.
A lot of issues.
Unfortunately, technology. What can you expect? But no, as I was saying, with Jayden Bogle, he's he definitely has been weird.
You bang on there, Jay. You are bang on. You are bang on there,
mate. On the money.
But yeah, I was. Yeah, go on.
What do we think Jayden Bogle will actually find himself as a better defensive player, like Sam Byram was when he left Norwich, or do you reckon he's still going to be in that mindset of wanting to be a wing back?
I think only time's going to tell on that one. I think today you could tell that he really just wanted to get forward. And it, like you say, it was frustrating to see that Dan James was the furthest back on the right-hand side at one point. I mean, and for the first goal, like JC's just said there, why is Jayden Bogle on the left side of the pitch for that goal? I know there's a free kick, but surely you would stick to your side, because when they get the ball after it's cleared out and it plays Sorensen in, there's nobody at right back, absolutely nobody, and it's the easiest through ball to play through to him. And I was going ballistic at Jayden Bogle for that. And again, you can't just blame him, because there's a certain individual that had goalkeeping gloves on that maybe should have done a little bit better with that as well. But at the same time, I just felt the defensive structure for that goal and the second goal, really, I just thought was all over the place. Don't know about you, but I just thought they were all over the place, mate.
I'm just looking at sort of Joe Rodon's statistics from that game, and I'd like to point out, and I'm going to put my neck on the line here, that was Joe Rodon's worst game I have seen in a Leeds shirt in a long time.
Yeah, I can kind of get on board with that. Yeah,
he gave away too many fouls. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it was part of his fault they scored in the first place.
Yeah. Just a bit off topic just for a second. What did you make of the ref? Because I thought he was massively inconsistent. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that we drew the game because of the ref, by the way, everybody. I'm just saying in the ground, there was a lot of frustration towards that ref. I just wanted to know your thoughts watching it.
I looked at it and I was a little bit confused why he gave Pascal Struijk a yellow card for being on the floor. I didn't understand.
They both studs collided together. So how can one get a yellow card and the other can't?
I definitely do feel like there was a little bit of an inconsistency with the referee, and obviously there was. If Leeds did a challenge, it'd be an instant yellow. If Portsmouth did a challenge, it'd be a few tackles later, then there'd be a yellow card. And I feel like it was kind of going to be the way it's going to go. Obviously, in no way, shape, or form do I ever think that it was a referee that cost us that game.
No,
because it wasn't. It was Leeds' poor attacking options, and especially going forward, we were generally just dog shit. You know, I think what was it, 20 something shots, was it, or was it something like that?
21 sticks in my mind.
It was definitely something stupid. Hang on, statistics. Here we go. It was 22 shots and like 10 on target or something.
I think they had 5 shots and 4 on target, and they scored 3.
We had an XG of 3.20.
I'd like to know what their XG was, because
theirs was 0.89.
Because I even said this to my uncle as I was leaving the ground. Even though they scored 3 goals, I don't remember Meslier actually having that much to do in the game, really.
No, he didn't.
And
He had the ball at his feet a little bit, and then he played it out from the back a bit. And then other than that, not a great deal.
Speaking of Ilya Meslier, just got a comment here from Jared saying that he's very worried that Meslier is starting the season this bad. He usually waits to do this poorly till the end of the season. Now, I've seen the goals back, obviously on the Sky Sports version. Obviously, their first goal, it was at the other end of the ground to me, so I knew he'd been beaten at the near post, but I didn't notice how bad it was. I feel he should have done better on the first goal. I think he could have easily saved it. The second one, I think is just a good hit, and there's nothing really much he could have done about it. Maybe he could have saved it, but I felt the second goal was more of a defensive, just all over the place, really, to be fair.
I'm gonna say in that aspect with the defence, I watched the game and I rewatched it back, and there was nobody who went to him to stop him from doing this, and this was the bane of our life last season, where attackers, especially who could shoot from far out, we weren't closing them down, and we were penalised on that multiple times, especially last season. I feel like it's gonna be the same this season. You know, you've brought in a different dynamic of play. You're using a different dynamic of play. You brought in midfielders who, especially Ampadu, who can go out to players. Grueff, who can go out to players, and they were nowhere near.
No,
which they gave an opportunity to shoot, which went straight through the defence and into the back of the net.
It was mad because the second one especially, as soon as the initial header came out, I said to the guy next to me, I said that this is going in. This, I said they're going to score here, and it would. About 2 seconds later, the ball's in the net, and I couldn't quite believe what I was watching. I was sat there thinking, no disrespect to Portsmouth, I've got no beef towards Portsmouth whatsoever, but they were in League One last season. Like, they're not Ipswich. Again, like, they're not Ipswich. And again, I didn't feel like they were even that great. I just feel like we took our foot off the gas massively after that first 10 minutes. I felt like...
Yeah, I mean, they realistically didn't really do anything, did they? They scored 2 very scrappy goals and a penalty which should never have been given, but it was down to our stupid decision-making. But then we're obviously chasing our tails, so we chased our tails twice throughout that game, and we should never be doing stuff like this. It should be a case of, right, we're at Ellen Road, we're at home, we should be dominating the game from start to finish. Obviously, we don't expect teams to never ever score against us because we're Leeds United, but you'd expect at least them to work really hard to get that goal against us, not for us just to be able to gift them. And I've definitely felt like that was the way it was. I mean, if it wasn't for the added time, we would have lost that massively.
Yeah, and I mean, I always say, if a team is going to score against us, you've got to make them work for it. And I felt like, I would argue they didn't have to work for any of their 3 goals really today, which is disappointing. But let's get into some comments. So Jay's saying Rodon was at fault for the second goal under zero pressure instead of heading the ball out to the wing and clear. He headed it back into the middle. I thought it was Ampadu that cleared it, but I was obviously wrong there. If it was Rodon, yeah. I mean, I think, like you said earlier, Jay, mate, I think it was just a bit of a shambles as a whole, really defensively. I understand that you're singling Rodon out there, and it's probably fair. But I think as a defensive structure today, I just didn't think it quite gelled, really, to be honest. It was the first game, but Leeds disappointed. Yeah, Meslier should have stopped the first goal. Agreed. Oh,
obviously, I'm not gonna lose my head because it is the first game. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is only a draw, but you'd expect a little bit more stability. I mean, if we're away from home at Fratton Park, I would have gone, okay, fine, that game's understandable. I would be, that's understandable. You know, we've gone a long way down to Fratton Park to play against them, 3-3 draw, I would take that. Away from home, we seem to be
Oh
poor.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
first game of the season at Ellen Road at 12:30, they're more tired than probably what we are,
Mm.
and you think we'd absolutely dominate the game, and I didn't see anything like that. I thought there was a lot of issues, which I mean we'll get onto it in a little bit later on, but there's still a lot of issues from now what we had last season, and I can't see us changing them issues. It seems to be the same thing year in, year out. I mean, bearing in mind that team that we played today was exactly the same team we played last season, apart from the likes of Nokri and Bogle added.
Yeah,
Other than that,
yeah.
was basically it.
And Joseph may be included, but other than
And
that,
Joseph
yeah,
included, but Joseph played. Do you know what I mean? But other than
yeah,
that,
yeah.
there's no real solid additions, and
No.
I do feel like obviously we need a few more additions, but will we get that? Probably not, because he'll look at that now and he'll go, well, Aronson, he can play on the wing. Georgie can play on the
Well,
wing.
there was an interesting development regarding a certain potential incoming, which we'll be able to get onto in a little bit. But I think Jay's comment here sums it up quite well. To be honest, let's be honest, Pompey will be battling to stay up this season. They weren't good. We gifted them all 3 goals. I think that's just the simplest way of putting it. In all fairness, I didn't think Pompey were terrible, but I just didn't. They didn't blow my mind, or I'm not sat here thinking, God, we were lucky to get that draw or
They're not
anything.
they're not a bad side. I mean, they stated
No,
in a
no, no, they're
statistic.
not.
They
No.
stated in a statistic what that I saw. They were the best defensive in the league last season. I think they've only
Yeah.
conceded like 41 goals in 46 games or something. Which,
Hmm.
yeah, look at it, it's like a goal every other game. But they're not a bad side. But like I said, we're Leeds United. We can't be messing around this season. And probably call me in denial all you like, but we're Leeds. We pissed around last season and we failed. This season now we need to be on the point.
In the words of Angus Kinnear, we can't be dicking around with the playoffs this year.
Exactly.
And look, like you said, we're not here, guys, getting carried away or anything like that. It is game 1, and I get it. There's definitely things that needs to be worked on, 100%. But I want to get I want to get your thoughts on a certain American that came onto the pitch. Brendan Aronson. I didn't boo him. He did get booed. I didn't, because I again I don't judge people who do, and I agree with the reason why people were obviously doing it, and I feel the same way. I just don't feel it's a benefit for someone coming onto the pitch in a game like that where he's getting booed. That's just how I see it. That's why I kind of just clapped just the rest of the subs. I didn't really acknowledge him or whatever. But I thought when he came on, few misplaced passes, which got a bit of a reaction from the crowd. But I just don't understand how he scored the goal that he scored, but missed the one that he missed. I thought it was Perot that actually equalised, but it wasn't. It was him. And I thought it was a tidy finish. I thought he was putting himself about. I thought it was all right. But talk to me about that miss. I mean, we were literally inches away from having a totally different conversation now. So yeah, just talk to me about that Brendan Aronson
So
chance. What do you make of it?
I actually didn't see the goal until I saw it in the highlights because I was too frustrated. I went outside before the end of the game. But then also
Went
when I
for a
went to look
breather.
at the yeah. I looked at the highlights and I actually saw the game and I slowed it down. I sent a picture into our group chat. Oh my god, he was 1-on-1 with the keeper. It would have been harder for him to miss
Yeah.
than it would have been to score.
All we had to
And
do was just
yes,
pass it into the net for me. Just pass it into
100%.
the goal.
I found an angle on the highlights reel where I screenshot. It's a shame I can't show you on here, but I saw the screenshot and I sent it in and I'm like, how's not made that 4-3? How's not made it 4-3? Like,
It,
but I
it
mean,
it would have been one of the biggest snatch and grabs I think I've ever seen at Ellen Road. I think.
I'm proud of him for scoring and
It- yeah,
equalising the goal, granted,
I am. Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I still think with that scenario, you've kind of got a devil and an angel on your shoulder. So an angel for scoring, but then a devil for missing. So it's like you're kind of in the same boat. If he scored them both, I would have kissed his feet. But he's still in my bad books for doing what he did last season.
Yeah, and I think he'll still be in the bad books for at least the next few weeks and months, probably. But if he'd have bagged that goal, I'm not saying it'd have been 100% forgiven and fans would be loving him and that, but it'd have been a little bit on the way there, I think, if he'd have put that goal in. And, I did feel for him because he did look visibly frustrated and annoyed. I did feel for him, but honestly, everybody around me, Owen, when that went wide, we were all just gobsmacked. It was just nobody could quite believe that he'd missed it. And like I said, the guy next to me just turned around and he said, "How the fuck did he score the one he scored?" Which you'd argue was more difficult. He had players around him. It was outside the box.
Very well finished.
Literally, yeah, exactly. And to literally be 1-on-1 with the keeper. And I think someone said a few rows back, actually, I think would have been a bit more understanding if like the keeper had saved it or if he'd at least got it on target. But the fact that he put it that wide, I think, was more frustrating for me. Don't know about you, but
I mean, I'm looking at his statistics on SofaScore.
Right.
He's doing okay. Obviously, 60% obviously accurate passes. I do think that he will become a good solid asset for Leeds, but you've just mentioned a key word which I do want to get onto: passing. Now, I have never been so frustrated at how many passes have gone from being a white shirt to the grass to the sideline.
Yeah, there was a few today, weren't there? Yeah, there were.
We've had a conversation multiple times on the podcast and obviously through message where I can see what they're trying to do, but they're not doing it. There's great opportunities for our wingers who have got quite a bit of pace to get in and behind defenders. But with the defenders and our midfielders trying to ping it over the top, they always seem to get it wrong every time. Or DJ with his pace just never seems to get there.
Yeah,
and it's how we lose the ball every time. It's like I like going over the top. I like that it's different, but stop using the wings. Need to use the middle more as well.
And I think there's definitely certain points where maybe going a bit more direct is needed, but it's when it's not needed and they still do it where it's frustrating to watch. I'm sure it's frustrating for them as well that it's not working. But you mentioned something about the Valencia game, and it happened today. And as soon as it happened, I thought of you saying it. Rodon went to play a ball out to Bogle, and it went straight into touch.
Yep, every time.
And I thought it wasn't every time, I don't think, but there was one time when it happened, and I thought that's what Owen said. That's what he said happened at the Valencia game quite a lot. And
there's no communication.
And I think there was one where it might have been the one I'm on about actually, where I think Rodon went to play it to him, and there was like a Pompey player that like went to go for it, but then backed off, and I think Bogle backed off and just let it go out of play and didn't even go for it. And we're all just going like, what is this guy doing? Like, I didn't know whether to blame Rodon, whether to blame Bogle. I don't think neither of them knew who to blame. And that's where it's the lack of communication. It's the lack of maybe knowing where each other should be. And you could maybe bring Meslier into this as well, where his distribution is always the same. It's always one wing. He never plays it down the middle unless he's pressured. If he's got time to think about it, it's always the same balls. I feel like it's the same passage of play. And I actually have made a little point on my screen here just about Farke. Like, is this personnel, do you feel? Or do you feel it's Farke's tactics, formation, etc.? Like, what are your thoughts on that, just from that point of view? It's a tough one. It is a tough one.
I don't know what Farke is trying to achieve at the moment. Obviously, his tactic last season didn't work.
No.
Even though he did like a 10-minute presentation on why it does work, but it doesn't work. It proves that it doesn't work. But then you look at his pre-season. I was really impressed with his pre-season, from Harrogate to Schalke to Hanover to Valencia. I thought it was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Then the minute we play against Pompey, it's like, where's your tactics? It almost seems to be a throw it on, and then his substitutions. Like when he brought certain individuals off, I looked at him and went,
Yeah.
why? Why are you bringing them two off when they are your key threats? Nonto was clinical on that left hand side, tearing up defenders left, right, and centre, and you're bringing him off. It made no sense.
And I'll add on that as well that Nonto looked visibly, excuse my French, pissed off at that as well when he came off, and understandably, because like you say, I felt first half I thought it was a bit not quiet, but it wasn't involved as much. But I felt second half obviously equalises straight away, and I feel like he were building a bit of momentum in the game, and I felt like he was really getting at their full back well. And like you say, I thought DJ on the other side, I thought had a good game as well. You know, he's using his pace, and then he brings them both off and puts Aronson on, who isn't a winger. That's no like an insult towards him, but he isn't a winger.
No.
And you bring Perot on for James, again, isn't a winger. And it felt like, as you've alluded to, numerous times last season when it wasn't working or he just thinks, right, all attackers on and just pray. And then,
do you know what got into my head?
And then he brings Bamford on as well, and I'm just like, oh mate. Like,
do you know what got into my head? I looked at it and I was like, he's bringing Nonto off because he's not won a header in the box. And then I'm keen thinking to myself, hang on, the guy's like 5'4". Why is he going to win a header in the box? Multiple times, I think it's like 4 or 5 crosses that came in and all went over his head, and that's not Nonto's fault.
It's the same as Dan James as well.
Exactly. Nonto can't miraculously become a giant. If anything, what you're going to need is like a Georgie in the middle or a Pro in the middle with Nonto just outside the box. And then you'll have him, if a ball does come back out again, either a Georgie or a Nonto or a Joseph can hit it back in the middle again, or even try to go for goal. Don't put Nonto in the box. It's never going to achieve anything. And
no, I think
substitution was poor.
I'd say that for Georgie as well, because even though he's a bit taller, he doesn't really tend to win that much aerially either. And yeah, it was just a bit confusing. But just for context, guys, Owen really likes this player that I'm about to ask him about. Really loves him. Joel Perot, how did you think he did when he came onto the pitch? What did you make of him? I thought it was all right. I thought he did okay.
I mean, the guy was non-existent majority of the game until he played the ball through to Aronson, so you can't really suck his anyway.
No,
you can't. You can't.
I just wanted to ask you about him because I know how you feel about him. I just thought I'd ask.
I don't hate any Leeds player. Anyone who puts that white or yellow shirt on, I will always back them massively.
Yeah, 100%.
I hated Perot last season. Yes, he scored 14 or 15 goals last season, but he's just not a Leeds player, and it angers me because it's like I really want him to do well. And
he is frustrating to watch.
Doesn't fit. And
yeah, I felt like we signed him for the simple fact that he was like championship top scorer, and he was a really good goal scorer. Which, as a finisher, if we're talking just finishing, he probably is one of the best that we've got. But he isn't quick. He's too slow, like to release the ball on attacks. And then even if he does do that, he's slow getting into the box. I think he likes it to be dragged back to him on edge at box all the time. When, like, even though Joseph didn't score today, I felt he had a good game. I thought he led the line quite well. He was making some good runs, holding the ball up quite well. They were all over Joseph, by the way, tugging at his shirt, fouling him all the time because they couldn't get near him. And he plays like a proper number 9. He had a few chances, which, he won't score every chance. But I didn't agree with him coming off the pitch either, in all honesty. I would have kept it. The only sub that I felt made sense was the Gruev for Rothwell sub. That was the only one that I kind of agreed with because I didn't feel like Gruev was progressing the ball enough for me. And again, it might be different as a fan being at the game rather than watching it on the telly. But for me, I just felt like he was going sideways a lot and backwards. But when Rothwell came on, I thought he was always looking forward, always trying to at least move the ball forward and try things. Don't know what your thoughts are on that, but
in the situation,
it's a weird one, Gruev.
Oh, 100%. In the situation that happened within the game, I would have liked to have seen a front three of Joseph, Nonto, and Georgie, and really have them as like a narrow dagger of a three to literally
Yeah,
go at their centre halves, take the fullbacks out of this. Obviously, I'll
yeah,
have our fullbacks as wing backs, but really go at their centre. I thought their centre halves were they didn't know how to deal with our pace, especially going
no,
through the middle. But then we changed the game. We kind of looked at it and went, oh, because they've tackled us once, we're now going to go down the wing again, and it bugs me. Obviously, I'm not going to take away Farker's job because Farker's Farker for a reason. He gets paid
yeah.
the big bucks to talk facts. But looking at them defenders today, they didn't know what to do with our attacking threat.
Yeah, I also felt like sorry to cut you off as well, but
That's all right.
I also felt like when we pressed them and the press was good, like you said, they didn't know how to handle it. And if we'd have executed that press, and I get there's times to press and times to not press, I get that. But if we'd have executed it a lot more, especially first half, I felt we'd have got so much joy because when we did, they looked average. And when Georgia was in his piss taking mood like he usually is, the, he was having their lives at times, but then there were times when he was even losing the ball. I just feel like, someone's even said here, it was just a Leedsy result, and I agree with that. Was there anything else expected if we get a win next week at West Brom or row over the line? Yeah, we will be speaking about that man from Norwich in a minute
Do you know
because
what? Let's talk about that because like I don't know how this is going to work now, and because either way you're going to piss somebody off. Now, Nonto for me, I would ideally have him as that left winger.
yeah,
He,
I
he
would as
he's
well.
proven it. He's shown it. Somerville's obviously gone. No team's going to come in for him. Somerville, Jordan and Georgie, Nonto is going to be our player from start. Okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you bring a Rowe in, Rowe's going to want to start, and you're going
yeah.
to want to have him there at start at all times, right? He knows the championship. He's playing the championship since time began. But where would you play him? You can't play him.
I think if anyone out of that front three was going to come out, and by the way, I'm not saying I want this player out or anything, but I'm just thinking from Farker's perspective, it's probably Dan James who comes
Mm-hmm.
out, but then can Rowe be as effective on the right as what he probably would be on the left? He's not going to play in the number 10. If it's a 4-2-3-1, he's not going to play in a number 10 because Georgie Rutter plays there and there's no way George is getting dropped unless he's injured. Or it's a cup game or whatever. But it is a weird one. But the thing that I'll take from it if he does sign is if he ends up signing, he'll have had conversations with Harker if he signs. He'll have an idea of how much he's going to play, if he's going to start games, if he's not. So if he signs, whatever the situation is, he must be okay with because you wouldn't sign otherwise. Because he's got Marseille in for him as well, as we all know. Probably more likely to play over there, but it's not a great league. If he comes to Leeds, he can potentially be part of a promoted team and play in the Prem next year. I don't know, but obviously there was a development with him, wasn't there, in today's game? Obviously, they did get beat by Oxford 2-0, did Norwich today, which is interesting in itself. But Johnny Rowe chose to make himself unavailable for selection for the game. And because in the screens, like near the bar in the South Stand, obviously it showed you all the squads for every game. And obviously it showed you the Norwich one. And I didn't see him in the starting 11, but I thought, well, Sammy Schmodix were on bench last night, wasn't he? And he's, there's rumours about him. So I had a look at the bench. And when I didn't see him, I thought, what's going on there? Because obviously Marseille had a bid rejected, I think, last night. I think they bidded 8 million. Obviously, it was rumoured that we tabled 7 or that we were going to table 7. So it was I don't think it was a surprise that they turned down 8. But
there's loads of speculation. There was also speculations that Leeds never actually bidded for Rowe in the first place. So
yeah,
I think someone came out with a tweet and said that Marseille were the only club to have bid for Norwich winger Johnny Rowe. I'm thinking, I don't know what to believe,
but Sky Sports News but Sky Sports News are saying that Leeds are very much in for him still. So when you first saw that he wasn't in the squad, what were your first thoughts?
To be fair,
it's nailed on.
Going to Marseille.
Really? Okay, interesting. See,
we never seem to do business with Norwich. When was the last time we ever had a player from Norwich?
Yeah, that is true. But I on the other hand, I do feel like if we tabled enough, they are willing to sell, or I think they would be willing to sell at the right price. Yeah, that's a total package. So that could be what, 10, 12 plus add-ons. I personally would pay it and get him in. That's where I'm at. I know we've just spoke about where he would fit in, but I think it's a very positive headache to have a player of that quality come in, and it might make some of the others play a bit better if they know that their place in the team is on the line, maybe. But everyone's seen that interview with him speaking about the Ellen Road atmosphere, and I don't know. My first thought was, right, whether it's us or Marseille, there's got to be a slight development in that deal now. Otherwise, he would have been there for me.
I'm just looking at BMG's comments. It says it's a bit imbalanced to have about 8 decent forwards and no creativity with minimal fullback cover. I completely agree. Our fullbacks are like biscuits. So Firpo gets injured, you've got no replacement for him. Because Sam Byron realistically isn't a left back; he's a right back. But then look at Jayden Bogle. He's not an actual defensive right back, so he can't. If he gets injured, you've got no one to cover him apart from James Debayo, who, by the way, is a fantastic youngster. But I wouldn't throw him in at the deep end right now. I'd implement him very slowly. I'd give him a few 10 minutes at the end of a game, kind of thing. But we need a fullback, we need a centre midfielder, and I think we need someone who can cause or even score goals. Because looking at them games today, we couldn't score at all.
Yeah, and you even made the point in the group chat earlier, didn't you, about maybe Leeds need to look at signing a striker, which I do kind of agree with, because you've only really got Joseph and Bamford who are out and out nines. There'll be people out there that say that Joel Perreault is a striker. I don't buy it at all. He's a good player to come on if you need a goal, but other than that, I don't think tactically he fits in.
We've got so many players. We've got so many players in that attacking positioning. Joel Perreault obviously can play in that number 9. You've got Matthias Joseph, Wilfried Gnonto can play there. Dan James has proved he can play there. Who else is there? Patrick Bamford, I don't want him to play ever again, and I'm going to get onto the reasons why in a minute. But who else can play there? There's probably a few other people who can play. Georgie can play in that number 9 positioning, not very well, but if we need to. But I'm just want to talk about Bamford. Obviously, Bamford's still got 2 years left in his deal. I said last season to many people that Bamford is the answer. Bamford causes a lot of threats going forward. But this now, I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched the game, but he did that random pirouette that Georgie does and lost the ball and then faked an injury. And I looked at it and I went, "Oh my God, what are we doing? Doing, Bamford? Why?"
I think Bogle played a decent ball into the box when Bamford came on, and it was nowhere to be seen. There was no anticipation of that ball coming in. But yeah, I agree about Bamford. It isn't ideal that we've still got him part of the squad in 2024-2025 season.
And then he missed an open goal, by the way.
He did, yeah. Just Jay, make sure you like and subscribe, people. Yeah, and check out the White Wall as well. Obviously, it is a fairly new podcast, isn't it, Owen? But we're trying to grow it. Obviously, there's me and Owen. There's Isaac, who's really, really funny, and he's a great lad as well. And then we've got Who else have we got?
Longy.
We've got Mike. Yeah, there's Longy as well. We've got Mike from what's his channel
Wacko
again?
TV.
Wacko TV. That's the one. Yeah. So I think we'll be doing a podcast tomorrow at some point about the game as well.
I think
Potentially.
tomorrow. I think tomorrow what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a live StreamYard session of Raw dogging it. But tomorrow is going to be a lot more unfiltered. As what I want to say, I can't say because of YouTube guidelines. But if you want to come and sort of give us your rural thoughts, then obviously head over to the White Wall podcast and drop us a follow on there. And obviously, like I said, we'll be live sort of some point either tomorrow morning or afternoon or some point. But we'll also let you guys know. But yeah, the game today needs to massively change. And obviously we've got Borough on Wednesday, which I'm off to.
Yeah, I am as well. Yeah.
Will we see a different side? Probably.
Yeah, I imagine he will make some changes. We might see Max Ferber at the back, which I'm very excited to see. Not, but yeah, I do think he'll make changes. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches that game, really, because I never want Leeds United to lose a game, obviously, but I'm not gonna lie. I'll be open and transparent. If we did lose the game, I don't think I'd lose sleep over it. I would rather. If we're going to go out in the cup, I'd rather it be early on rather than get any further. This season for me is about getting promoted, and that is it for me. But we'll just briefly preview the Borough game. Then, I mean, how are you feeling about that one? Like, are you bothered about the cup or?
I'm not to be honest. I'm not overly bothered about the cup. I mean, the cup can be won at any point. My main focus right now is getting a solid Championship side who can win the league comfortably, whether it's first, whether it's second, get promoted to the Premier League, and then make obviously additions, offload a lot of players who haven't made it, or the players who want to leave, then they can go and obviously bring in additions who can generate better within the Prem. So I mean, I think Borough won today. To be fair, I think they won 2-0. I think it was. I have not really, it was 1-0. Really seen the result. Was it 1-0? I didn't see the result. Yeah. I just know my phone sort of vibrated.
It was that guy.
It was that last penalty.
Latte last penalty. That was it. Yeah, and it'll be nice to see a certain Luke Ayling on Wednesday night as well. Hopefully, if he plays. Exactly. But yeah, look, I'm not too bothered either way. It'll be a nice night under the lights at Ellen Road. Hopefully, a win would be good for momentum and for confidence. Maybe that would probably be a positive towards it. But just before we go, Owen, let's get a score prediction off you. I know we'll probably speak about it tomorrow, but for the Chatting Leeds audience, what is your score prediction for the Borough game?
Well, if I've seen what I've seen today, God knows. But I do feel like we are going to concede, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Leeds. I think.
I think I'll go the same actually. Yeah, I think I'll go the same actually. I think, but yeah, we've been going for just under 50 minutes now, guys. There's been highs of about 25 people, which is good to see at this time on a Saturday. I do appreciate everyone watching. Appreciate Owen giving up some time of his night to join me as well. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, guys, make sure you're liking and commenting and subscribing to my channel. But check out Owen over at All Leeds Crest on TikTok. It's always a good laugh to watch some of your videos, mate. I can't lie, they do make me laugh.
Raw emotion, my friend. Raw emotion, unfiltered raw emotion of how the game went. There's no filterization from my mouth, unfortunately. All I can physically say is that I do apologise. Some things I say is just out of raw emotion, and I probably don't
apologise in advance.
but other times it's just So sometimes you'll see me going crazy. Sometimes I want to bang my head against the wall. But it's Leeds United. It's a team we all love, and I'd never change.
I do think as well. I've really enjoyed this, by the way, and I think you're actually the first guest I've ever had on, Owen. First guest I've ever had on the channel. So yeah, debut guest.
Well, thank you very much.
No, that's no problem. But I think after every game, I think us two should do this. I think this could be a regular thing. It'd be good to do this. especially next week. The West Brom game, obviously, it's away. I aren't going to it, so I think we'd be able to jump straight on after that game where it's 100% raw, where it's just finished, and get straight on. That'll be good. But yeah, like I say, guys, check all my content out. Check Owen out. We'll be live on the White Wall at some point tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be able to sort that out, and we'll update you on times and everything.
If you guys go over to Twitter, or X, as Elon likes to call it these days, go on to Instagram. There, and Instagram, you'll see way before when we're going to go live, which you'll be able to get live notifications on there. Just like I said, make sure you go drop us a follow on TikTok, on the White Wall Podcast, Instagram, and the old X. So yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll leave it for there. Like I say, guys, opening day draw, as the title of the stream is. It wasn't quite in the script for today, but it's a point on the board. There's West Brom away next week, and we'll go through all the same emotions again. So yeah, like I say, thank you to Owen, thank you to everyone that has watched, and hopefully we'll see you on the White Wall Podcast tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see you in a bit, guys. Cheers,
guys. Thank you, mate.